For those of you who do not know me, I was with my best friend on vacation in Australia, and we decided to go for a hike along the ocean. It was Mother's Day, and so that's what we did. And we were just enjoying the beautiful weather when, out of nowhere, a huge wave came up over the path and it swept us into the ocean. And she died in my arms. That was 25 years ago. And so for 25 years, I've been living with grief, survivor's guilt, and PTSD, even if I didn't have the words for it back then. It is important to note, though, that my life has always been pretty chaotic. Even before Jenny died, I was, I was always different. I um, was impulsive. I always got in trouble in class for being distracting. I had tons of energy. I was very competitive. Um, I couldn't control my emotions very well. And so was constantly told I was too sensitive. So I've always known I was different. And so once Jenny died, I did not know how to process my emotions. And I didn't want to go to therapy at the time. And so I just basically pretended like nothing happened. So that was not the right decision, probably. But when you're going through something like that, you're just going through it. You don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And if you're not processing any of the feelings, then just it's just not good. And so um, I did anything I could to numb the pain. What did that look like? That looked like drinking way too much. It looked like hanging out with the wrong people over and over again, people that didn't really care about me, people that I didn't care about. It looked like staying up until 4 in the morning over and over again, wondering how much longer I could live like that, and also wondering if I even cared if I didn't wake up. I was never suicidal. I just didn't care if I lived. And that's a very terrifying place to be. I was in a very, very dark place. And I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just, I hid it. I suffered in silence. And so it definitely was not an easy period in my life. Eventually, I got scared enough, though, and called my parents and told them that I needed to move home. And so that's what I did. Once I moved home, um, I started to see therapists, different types of therapists. The first therapist I saw was like a specialist in PTSD. And so, since I had been involved in the accident and had so many details just burned in my brain about the accident, um, that was the first thing that we worked on, some really intense therapy on how to deal with that kind of trauma. And so, I remember it would like it included like me having to write letters to Jenny and then me having to write letters to myself like I was Jenny. Very intense, very hard, painful work. And that did help me. That did help me tremendously with the PTSD portion. And then that therapist, I felt like did what he needed to do. And then it was time for me to, move forward. Obviously, I still felt like I needed a lot of help after that therapy. And so I found another therapist. And that is when I was thankfully diagnosed with ADHD. I had ADHD my whole life. And so once I had that accident, though, and you throw the PTSD on top of the undiagnosed ADHD, it created the biggest, most chaotic, hot mess train that there could be. It was really hard to live life like that. It really was. And so getting that diagnosis was huge because I got on some medicine and I was able to start functioning a little bit better and living life productively, which I had a really hard time doing before that diagnosis. And so, I went on with life and went and got the corporate job, did all the things I was supposed to do. I did graduate college and everything, but I still constantly lived with this anxious spot. this anxiousness, this heavy anxiousness. I mean, I had suffered bouts of anxiety attacks, that, which I had never had before Jenny died. I thought everybody that I loved was going to die. I thought every time I was in a car, I was going to get in an accident. I mean, that's how terrible my anxiety was. I was able to, I was able to work through that anxiety and not have such bad anxiety where I was having panic attacks. But I just always had that anxious knot. I was always waiting for the next huge event to take either me down or somebody that I love down. I mean, having this accident at 22, it changed the entire trajectory of my life. I was too scared to have children. I was too scared to fall in love and meet somebody because the thought of losing somebody that you love again, it was too unbearable for me to handle. And so, it was, I just pushed people away. And like I said, I just kept everything to myself and I suffered in silence. So even though I had all that therapy and I felt way better and I functioned at my career, and probably looked normal to a lot of people on the inside, it was always still a struggle. And I just accepted the fact that this was going to be my life. I was like, this is going to be my life. Had a traumatic event happen in my life. Of course, I'm going to feel like this the rest of my life. Why wouldn't I? But I was okay with that because I was feeling so much better than I had in the dark days. But then, just last May, it was the 25th anniversary of the accident, and holy shit, everything just came like flooding back to me. I mean, I got hit with another wave of emotions, it felt like, and I was reliving everything like it had just happened yesterday, sobbing uncontrollably, almost hyperventilating, and then I was like so upset with myself because I was like, how am I still here after all the work I've done, all the therapy I've gone to, all the different things I've tried, all the hard work I've put in, all the books I've read. I mean, all the grieving techniques or grieving, uh, advice that I tried. And I'm still here 25 years later. Thankfully, I had recently heard about somatic processing and how somatic processing can help people regulate their nervous system. I didn't even know to think about my nervous system, honestly. But apparently, my nervous system had been stuck in fight or flight ever since that accident. So everything in my body felt unsafe all the time because I was never able to process those emotions. And so learning that I had a dysregulated nervous system was actually amazing because I knew that I had a path forward and I thought, oh my gosh, I can do some more healing and I can try to come back home to myself because that's really what I wanted because I never felt the same since that day Jenny died. I died too. And I just really, really, really knew that I wanted to come back home to myself, a better version of myself, a different version. But I knew that I just knew that I needed to come back home. And so I was very excited when I learned about that somatic processing and how it helps regulate the nervous system. So once I was able to listen to my body, start listening to my body, letting it know that it's safe now after 25 years of feeling unsafe, um, everything shifted. I started to regulate my nervous system, and wow, what a huge difference that has made in my life. I had no idea that I needed to regulate my nervous system. I wish I've known that years ago because it was so transformative. My relationships with others have um, gotten better. I no longer people please. I am able to post on social media without the fear of rejection, which is something that was always very present and huge in my life. Um, I'm less reactive. I am just genuinely happy. My body feels safe. I feel at peace. I no longer want the chaos. I demand the peace, which is a first for me in my chaotic life. And so at 47 years old, I'm finally I'm finally coming back home to myself, and it's been the most transformative experience because once I started listening to my body and being able to feel, that's when all my intuitive gifts came back online. They've always been there. They've always been there. We all have them. But my body was living in chaos. My body was just trying to survive. It wasn't trying to listen to its intuition. It wasn't trying to do any of those things. And so once I finally regulated my nervous system and listening to my body, everything opened up. And that's when um, I started understanding that I um, have visions and that I um, can see things that other people's cannot see, and that I just have these knowings, and that I'm able to speak to spirits now. And I've had a conversation with my best friend, and it was the most amazing. It was the most amazing experience of my life. And this just happened last week. And it was the first time I was able to understand her. I could feel her with me for a while now, but to understand her like that, oh, you guys, it was amazing. And so um, I need to share with others who are suffering. We don't all have to have the same trauma. Your trauma doesn't have to be a wave where you were knocked into the ocean. It could be anything. We all have trauma. Our body doesn't understand the difference in the levels of trauma. So, your trauma might look different than my trauma, but it could be doing the same thing to our bodies. And so I'm just on a mission to spread nervous system regulation and, somatic processing, because it helps you start listening to your body. And once we start listening to our bodies, everything, everything changes, and you're able to live an authentic life and just radiate fucking sunshine, man, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I feel. I mean, of course, I still have my moments. I still have my struggles. I'm still healing things. I still have, you know, those shadows that I still um, battle with. But I'm doing often. I'm healing as much as I can. But it's also important that you don't take healing to like a crazy level where that's all you're working on is healing too, because there is a balance in that. And so I'm um I'm enjoying where I'm at right now, and I just want to spread the word to anybody else that somatic processing can help you regulate your nervous system, and helping or having a regulated nervous system is the first step in living authentically, and just coming home to yourself and being super happy.